You're amazingly still. I always notice that about people breathing or moving. Are you holding your breath?
I need
Very
to do
still.
this
Until I have to take a breath,
Yeah.
and then I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Way out there, and cut. And that will take us into Tuesday.
Matt's saying he's, breathing and stuff. Maybe. Fuck, it's terrible. You're dust in your eyes. It must be tough. And he's
Ray, go! Get to the med bay.
Casting was actually quite difficult because coming from District 9 and this place of like wanting to be somewhat outside of the Hollywood system and be a little bit more, just my own sort of maverick guy, I was quite averse to kind of meeting with and engaging with very well-known Hollywood personas. I wrestled with that for a while. The idea behind the film is quite big and the imagery is quite big, and there was a certain point that I just realized that if you actually were to have stars that were recognizable in it, it may actually work in a positive sense and sort of elevate the entire film. When I crossed that mental threshold, I started to meet with people, and I was very sort of decisive about who those people would be.
Neil has a very specific way of casting on a film. Of course, he's looking for good actors, but his main goal, I think, is to make sure that the actors that he hires are down-to-earth, everyday people who he can get along with on set.
I think the hardest role in the movie to cast, and it's the lead of the movie, is Max. Because he has to be somebody that has done, and even in the context of the movie, does some morally ambiguous things, even somewhat reprehensible things, but you can't lose your rootability in the character. And also, part of the challenge with Max was finding an actor that could play drama and play action. Someone who was viable as an action hero, who could put on a Hulk suit and shoot a rifle and would feel legitimate, and also could play a lot of really heavy, dramatic, emotional scenes. And Matt Damon is one of the only actors in the world that's done both those things.
Well, I saw District 9 like everybody, and I freaked out like everybody else did. And so he instantly jumped to the top of the list of people that I wanted to work with. And I didn't know, I didn't even hope for it to happen as quickly as it did, but it turned out to be his next movie.
When I met Matt for the first time, I instantly liked him. I met him in New York, and we kind of just hung out for a bit.
I was already gonna beg my way into the movie, I was sure, once I was told I could meet him for a coffee. But he pulled out basically a graphic novel that he had designed himself, and he started to explain this world to me. As I was sitting in this diner with this young guy from South Africa, I go, oh my God, he built the world already. It's completely designed, it exists. We just have to go help him literally just bring it to life. That's it, it's already there.
I felt like he was someone that I would want to be around on set. There was no kind of ego and no bullshit. It was just about making the film. And that made me feel pretty good, because I thought maybe it was actually possible that, you could go about doing this in a way that was the good version of very talented, well-known actors. And then Jodie Foster was the same thing.
I'd seen District 9 and loved, what Neil did with that movie, and loved some of the things that were similar, of talking about sociopolitical questions under the heading of a genre sci-fi film.
When Neil and I started talking about who the villain of the movie was going to be, it was really important to him that it was somebody who was viable as an authoritative figure and scary and legitimate at being a villain, but somebody who was also empathetic to the audience and felt like a real three-dimensional human being. And Jodie is someone who's played drama and won Oscars and been nominated for more, but also has had a gun in her hand and has run around and been in thrillers and action movies. And so, like Matt Damon, she felt like she could fit into a film that was combining these different elements and different voices.
I love films that are set in the future, but of course are still dealing with the resonance of all of the political turmoil and the sociological turmoil that we're going through right now. This idea that in the future, the richer have become richer and the poor have become poorer, and that extends to everything from who gets to be healthy to who gets to have children, who gets to have family, and who gets to escape our poisoned environment. And that this chasm between the rich and the poor is so enormous that in some ways it's created two different planets.
For Kruger, Neil obviously had a really close relationship with Sharlto Copley that he worked with on District 9 and has been a childhood and lifelong friend of his. And this is a totally different part than Vicus from District 9, but manic and improvisational and surprising in similar ways.
What happened was he knew I was writing Elysium, and he kept asking me to read it. And what I felt like I wanted to do was I felt like I specifically did not want to make a film with him directly after making District 9. I just thought, like, he can go and work with multiple other directors, but, you know, it takes me 3 years to do a film. So every time I come up with a film, he's in it, but he's bounced around and I haven't. So I was like, I told him that I probably wouldn't be able to use him on this, and he was, you know, he was not happy. And so I sent him the script just to kind of let him see what I was thinking of making.
When I first read the script, I felt quite attracted to the idea of playing the villain.
When he read the villain, he phoned me instantly and started sort of begging to play that role, and really was just like on my case about it, like every day. And subconsciously, I knew before I even sent him the script, it was probably going to be him, because I could just see him in this crazy mercenary role.
What interested me about him as a villain, or the opportunity that I would have to play him, was to try to play him with a little bit more color. You know, the genre of this film, it doesn't take itself absolutely seriously. Although, yes, he's dark and he's evil and all of that, I wanted him to be a little bit charismatic and a little bit entertaining and a little bit fun to watch.
No, I think
No, give it to him. He should drink it. He's tough.
He just finds a way to make things funny. Even in the most extreme, dire situations, there's this kind of natural, sardonic kind of humor that seems to come out of him. And he never, ever plays it straight, ever. There's no circumstance ever. I don't even know how you could get him to play something straight. Like even there, or even a foot back from there.
How come he gets the backlight?
It's the opposite.
No, they just want your face in shadow. It's like the McGee solid.
You see this?
And there you go.
It's hurtful, you know? Because
disrespectful.
I just admired him and like...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's not what he seems like on screen, dude. He's a nice guy on screen.
I try, you know, and obviously he's a bigger star, he's faster, he's quick-witted. He's Matt Damon, you know, and sort of every chance he gets, I don't think he does it maliciously, but he you know, he'll sort of rub it in my face. The other day, I mean, EPK crew's there. You know, I made a little mistake where I wasn't on camera during my scene. He's pointing it out in front of the whole crew's laughing at me. You know, it's only my third film. He's done like 50 movies. Honestly, bro, I mean, you know that scene in Good Will Hunting where he goes, "How do you like them apples?" And he shoves the girls, you know, shows that he got the girl's number, that he's the guy. That's kind of how it's been for me, you know, in this movie. It's just, he's Matt Damon. That was it. That was "How do you like them apples?" to me.
No!
You know, honestly, it's been good to be able to chase him and sort of beat him up every now and then. It feels good, you know, when he has to cower in the sand and he can't see and I'm, you know, kicking him around a bit. And I think this is just showing that other side of Matt Damon, and I'm having to sort of just bring it in line a little bit. And I think that works. That chemistry works. No, Matt's awesome, man. Matt is, honestly, I don't, because actors always talk about this, but if I could choose people to add to my family, Matt would be on my list. It's been an incredible experience working with him, and I think he's a very smart guy, and what I've really enjoyed with him is a lot of like intellectual conversations, and he loves film and he loves acting.
What he's saying though is that when we cut back, like we see you there,
obscenely close to me. You're like this.
It's like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
That
so
is
like,
cool.
I never saw you coming and you're here.
Yeah. It could be that. It just could be that. Okay, so you're talking this.
you know, Matt's the perfect person to play him for multiple reasons, but I like the idea of potentially how shocking this version of LA is, and having him wake up in a shack that's, you know, I guess overlooking the Hollywood Hills, and then walking by chickens down a hill. You know, it's just, it's hopefully, if I've done it right, it's kind of quite shocking if you put Los Angeles over that. So what reinforces that and what makes that better is to take someone who is a movie star and to put them in that setting. Okay, and action.
Back the fuck up.
How'd you like them apples? Sorry, I had to get one. I
think I shit myself.
Jodie's dying on screen. I guess I didn't know this until we got fairly far into the film, that she told me that she hadn't ever died on screen. And I thought that was kind of like, almost like an honor in a way that, like, you know, Jodie Foster was dying in a film that I was directing. But then what became like mildly disturbing about it was that she was gonna die at the hands of Sholto. I don't know if I could pick my death. I don't know if it would be Shaw. You know, he's a dodgy character to die at the hands of.
Yeah, I am the first person in the cinema history to kill Jodie Foster, which is, you know, is saying something. Killing Jodie Foster was actually one of the hardest scenes for me to do, because I have to stab her in the neck. And they gave me a sort of piece of plexiglass with a bit of green tape over it. But there's no like padding on the front of the glass, and it was like, okay, now you stab her in the neck. So the whole bunch of first takes that I'm doing, I'm trying not to hit Jodie Foster in the throat. And and I keep doing this, but I'm stopping too far away from her throat. And Neil comes in and he's like, dude, listen, you've got to actually make contact with the throat, because we're going to put a CG blade on the front. And it's got to look like it's gone into her neck, so you've got to actually go all the way to her neck.
The main problem with that one was your proximity for the stab was just not close enough.
Not close enough. And I mean, I hardly knew her. It was kind of like, hi, Jodie, I'm Sholto, how's it? Okay, and I'm going to stab you in the neck, you know, at this point. So I must have done it like 15, 20 times, where I just kept chickening out, you know, to go too close. And then eventually I realized I could go slower and actually make contact, and it still worked. And then I asked Jodie what she thought. I tried to like score some points. I'm like, Jodie, I'm the first person to kill you on camera.
It looked good, yeah.
Did I kill you successfully?
This is the best killing I've ever had. But mind you, I've never been killed before in a film, so.
Well, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Take it as a compliment.
And she dies incredibly, by the way. When she stops breathing, it's a very simple thing. As an actor, you'd think, I mean, as a child, you act like you're dying, you know, and then you die. So you think it's pretty basic, pretty straightforward. She's lying there, she stops breathing, and we're watching the rushes. And I thought they'd frozen the image. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is she doing? How is she keeping so still? It was very freaky. She really looked like she died. I know this sounds very weird.
I usually kill everyone else. Yeah, I've never died on screen before. I don't know why. I've killed a lot of people, but for some reason I never die on screen. It was fun, really. I think fun to die at the hands of Sholto, the madman, Kruger. The blood's kind of fun. It stains everything you're wearing and it turns it pink. I think my kids are going to get a big kick out of seeing me with blood everywhere.
Trying to grab it, like you can feel what he's holding on to, right? There's a few different ways you can play it.
Having known Neil for so many years, it's amazing to see a lot of his earliest work, his earliest influences, his earliest design kind of work in this film.
You sit with him and he starts to talk about it, and you just go, I want in. Just what do I have to do to be involved with this? And the experience of making it, like, we would be looking at each other on the set, the actors and the crew members, and we'd go, can you believe we get to do this? Like, this is incredible.